We got a 90 Mazda Miata, and the complaint is there's no power on acceleration. There's several things we're going to check. The first thing we're going to look at is the vane airflow meter. Show you how to test that using the Veris. Now some systems have a MAP sensor or mass airflow. This one has a vane airflow meter. It works similar, but it's different. Inside here you can see that there's a door that actually moves. It actually flaps as air goes in through here. Air goes in through here, hits that door, and comes out this way. There's a potentiometer right in here that as that door moves, just measures this movement. You got a 7-wire connector. I'm going to show you how to test it. We're going to put in the year, make, and model. 90 Mazda Miata. Now I'm going to go down here. You see there's no mass airflow because this one is called a vane airflow sensor. I'm going to select that. Component information. Tells you down here exactly what to do. We've got a 7-wire connector. Air temperature signal, vane airflow signal, ECM ground, ECM 5-volt reference, ECM ground, fuel pump control ground, fuel pump relay control. So in other words, in this vane airflow meter is the fuel pump relay control. I'll go back over here to tests. I'm going to do the voltage test. Explains how it should be here. You should have your 5-volt reference. The signal should be very close to 4 volts. And it should change as you move the meter. Going to view the meter. Now we're going to turn the key on. Not crank it, but just turn the key on. I'm using just a regular test meter. I've got my negative to ground. Now the first thing I want to look for is my 5-volt reference to see if I've got that. So I want to back probe my 5-volt reference, which is wire number 4. I put that in there, back probe it. See my scope go up. It's actually not showing. I want to see that better. So I'm going to change my trace from 5-volt to 10-volt. And now I can see my 5-volt reading. When I take this away, it goes down. So I've got a good 5-volt reference. Now, number 2. Oops. Number 2 wire is the vane airflow sensor. So we'll check that. Move this over. I'm going to back probe number 2. And you can see I've got 3.87. It's supposed to be close to 4 volts. Now when I stick something in here and move the meter, you can see it glitch. Now if I try and move it slow, make it advance. So the vane airflow meter is working correctly. Now I don't know if you can hear this or not, but when I touch this and make this move, I can actually hear the fuel pump running, beginning to run. So if you remember, number 7 is the fuel pump relay control. So I'm going to go over to wire number 7 and back probe that. It goes off the scale, so I'm going to change my trace again. Instead of 10 volts, I'm going to go to 20 volts. 20 volts. And now you can see I'm reading 12.2 as I back probe that wire. It goes to ground. 12 volts on that wire with the key on. Now when I move the vane inside the meter, you can see that it turns the fuel pump on every time that vane opens. So the vane airflow meter is working correctly, and so is the fuel pump relay. So we've got a 90 Mazda Miata with 4-cylinder engine. Came in that it just barely run, just no power. Several things it could be. We ruled out some of the basics. The airflow meter, this has a vane airflow meter. Did a little video on how to test for that. That wasn't the problem. Looked a little bit further. A common problem on these is it will shear off the crankshaft keyway. That's what happened on this engine. Now if you look down in here, we've already got it taken apart with the timing belt off, and you can see where the keyway is supposed to go in that crankshaft. Here's the little keyway, and you can see where it's wallered out. That keyway is supposed to go into the crankshaft, but it just gets wallered out of there and gets out of shape. You can tell this is their problem without going this deep by taking the cover off where you can look at it. And if you see that your keyway is in there kind of cockeyed, and as you're running it it's wobbling just a little bit, then that's your problem. It's worn out on the crankshaft keyway. Well, it looks like the fix for this is another engine, either a used engine, rebuild engine, or taking this one apart and putting a new crank in it. Now, if anybody out there is aware of how to fix this, perhaps welding it or something like that, I'd like to hear about it. Send me a note, or better yet, make a video and send it to me and I'll attach it to this one.